Welcome to PKs Anonymous, the community of pastors' kids that's all purpose and no performance. Today I'm excited because we have an amazing guest, and I'm excited for you guys to meet this person. But here's what I want to do. I want my guest to tell you who they are without really telling you who they are. So, what should our audience today refer to you as? Here's our anonymous introduction. How should our audience refer to you today?
It's gonna be Harold.
Harold. All right. So today we've got Harold. Now, Harold, what region are you from?
Yeah. I was born in Central America.
Central America?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I speak fluent Spanish.
Fluent Spanish.
Fluent Spanish. That's my first language.
Oh,
You might
wow.
hear it a little bit in some words. If I
Okay.
use some big words today, then you might get some of that.
I know. All right, let's go. Let's
You
go.
know.
Okay, so Central America, and make sure like you come in a little bit. I mean, I want to make sure that they can hear you all right.
Yeah.
So Central America. Now, who pastored? Your mother or father?
My father.
Your father
Yeah.
pastored. Okay.
My father's pastor, but in the I guess you can say in the Hispanic community, you
Okay.
kind of both pastor.
Okay.
The concept of like my dad fathering or my mom fathering wasn't necessarily like a thing for me growing
Okay.
up. It was more of like we pastored.
We pastored.
And
Okay. So mom and dad are in it together.
Yep.
Mom and dad are in it together. Okay. And how old were you when you became a PK?
Ooh. I was born into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Born into
yeah.
it.
'Cause
All
I
right.
I didn't come into the States until I was 3.
Okay.
So
So
it was
your father was pastoring in Central America.
Yeah. So he was passing in Central America. He had an opportunity to come to the U.S. and kind of expand kind of what he was doing from a church perspective and the denomination that he was in. And so it was awesome. Yeah.
Okay. And at 3, you come into the States.
Yep.
And what region in the States were you guys pastoring?
We first came into Inglewood, California.
Inglewood, the
Yes,
wood.
sir. Yes, sir. My parents had no idea. Inglewood sounded real nice for someone from Central America. I'll tell you, they had no idea what they were getting into.
None. Okay.
And my mom wanted the best for us. I mean, like we would, I'll tell you a quick story, but like,
Yeah, go for it.
we would go into school situation and my mom's like, why is there metal detectors? Why is all this stuff? Like we're learning, we're teaching
This
and
is
so on and so forth.
Inglewood.
What is happening here? There's the name wood into the name. It should be a gated community, not a, fence on the sides. And so, but my mom was in the principal's office every day because she wanted the best for us. And it got to a point where, the principal and the teacher got together. They brought my parents in and said, look, if you want the best for your kids, you might need to go to like a different place.
Yeah.
And so that brought up a whole movement where my dad started pastoring in a different part of town, where it was because of that move of saying, hey, like we want our kids to be educated in a good place, where there's not going to be this wrestling with the safety of one versus the ability to go in and get some education. And so, I was kind of telling that story because my mom had no idea. She heard Inglewood and she's like, yeah, nice fence, gated community, the whole nine. And we were on the railroad tracks, so like Crenshaw was just around the corner.
Yeah.
So there was some situations that would happen daily. And it's not Disney fireworks, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
So you all moved from Central America to Inglewood. Your father decides, let's pastor in another part of town.
Yep.
And predominantly Hispanic community. Okay.
Yeah.
What was that like? Like, was your father a founding pastor? He just went somewhere and said, hey, we're starting a church. Like, how did that all come about for him?
Yeah. So he would took over a church that was already going.
Okay.
Think of like recruiting for like high school to college type situation, but it happened from like Central America to the U.S. and saying, hey, this person is retiring. We'd love for you to take over. And obviously it helps with like immigration status and stuff like that to be able to say, hey, we have a place to kind of slot you in there from a visa perspective. And so we did that. That was great. And they ended up going to this place. It wasn't necessarily founded. We just kind of took over and kind of expanded from there. But that was kind of like the whole movement. We could talk about it later, but they did end up eventually starting up a new church at a different place, different state and stuff. But yeah, it was kind of a takeover in a nice way situation.
Gotcha.
Takeover is the wrong word.
Okay.
I think it was a legacy handoff. Type of scenario.
So not just you're not just the product of immigrants. You are an immigrant.
Yep.
So you came into this country. Your father started pastoring out west in a predominantly Hispanic community and context. I know that the climate is very different now, and maybe it wasn't. I don't know what you all experienced. I don't know what that felt like, but maybe talk about that a little bit. Like, what did that feel like as not just the child of an immigrant, but an immigrant, and then you all getting some sort of security through the occupation of pastoring? Like, what was that like?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say like most of the congregation was still undocumented.
Okay.
So it's always this kind of like, we have your back, like this is a safe place. So you always talk about safe places being your therapist's chair or being with close ones and friends. We had to create a community that created that safe space. And so we had each other's back in that regards. And so we constantly were evaluating, hey, how do we bring their home country to this church on a constant basis? And that was honestly a difficulty in itself, because we had people from Mexico, we had people from Guatemala, people from Salvador. And so the way that we did that is around food. And so every single week we had someone come in, they did some pupusas, they did some chichitos, they did some tacos, they did all this stuff. And so what transcended the background and experiences was the ability to come around food and have community together. And kind of see things from that lens. But it wasn't always easy, but it was one of those things that it was very simple for us to just say, hey, we're going to stick together. Immigration and ICE and raids, all that stuff was always there. And many of us always knew that, hey, if they came to church on Sunday, they may not be here for next Sunday. And it was just kind of a constant thing that we just had to build a muscle memory for. But yeah, it was a constant. You never know who was going to be here on a consistent basis, and that's the life that we kind of were brought into in itself. We felt very privileged from being able to come into the country with documentation because of the occupation. But man, we also knew very clearly that a lot of our people that were, my parents, they were full-time into this, so their salaries and so on and so forth were tied to the income of the church. And so to know that someone may not be here was a very sensitive topic as well too. And so it was an interesting thing to get used to, that's for sure.
Wow. You said you could go to church one week and then not be sure whether or not someone would be there the next week. I don't even know what that feels like. That is crazy. So you mentioned being like, there's a privilege there to know that there was some security, not just financially, but also with your stability and status in the country through the occupation. But also with that privilege, I imagine there's a lot of pressure too.
Oh yeah.
So talk about that a little bit. Like, what was that peak? And then I do want to hear this story about the shift, because you said that your father ends up leaving that church and going and starting something else in another part of the country. So I do want to hear that story. But just overall, in that kind of context and community, what did that pressure feel like for you as a family and for you specifically, Harold?
I mean, it was tough. Honestly, like, it was one of those scenarios where it is not one of those scenarios where it's not unspoken. It was very clear and spoken that you are an example. Like, no matter what you do, you could be the 5-year-old kid, the 6-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid. You are the example of what people are looking up to. You cannot make a mistake. You cannot even get to a point where you can act a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I reflect on this very often, but I wouldn't let my kids go hang out with adults 24/7 and so on and so forth. I did. Like, my upbringing was hanging out with the 24 to 25 to 27-year-olds, and I was 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Right? Part of it had to do with me being a musician. I would play music with my brothers. We played at a level that we can keep up with the adults, so we would be able to participate with them. But at the same time, there's no way in heck that my 8-year-old, my 10-year-old, so on and so forth, today, I would be like, yeah, go ahead and go to In-N-Out with this 26-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, and we would go to car meets and all that stuff. But it was a thing that I had to grow up. And the issue where it became an issue was most recently, about 5-6 years ago, where I had to deal with being married for over 10 years and the reality of what are the things that are creeping up to the surface that make me nervous often. And you know, I went through some deep therapy.
Yeah.
I mean, deep therapy. And in one of my therapy sessions, we did some breathing work. And in that breathing work, part of it was it's pretty intense if you haven't done it before. It's really intense, and you close your eyes, you get into this phase, and then it's like the therapist will say, hey, draw the first thing that comes to mind. And so the first thing that came to mind for me was this boy holding on to a kite. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why.
Like,
And
why
so,
am I seeing this kite?
yeah,
this
like
boat's
why is
kite?
it? And first of all, you don't know this about me, but I love kites.
Oh, okay.
I love me some kites.
Really?
Every time Costco has a sale, I'm buying one. Every
Okay.
time I see one out in the beach, I'm
Kites.
looking at it.
Okay.
Kites are my thing.
Wow.
But I
So you like even the elaborate kites, like those ones that
3D formation,
Yeah.
single formation.
Okay.
We're talking about birds. We're talking about jets. The whole night. Yeah, I love it
Okay.
all.
Dope.
And so this image was created, and I was just like, I needed some clarity around it. So my therapist and I, we kept working through just like the history of my past and so on and so forth. And this kind of goes full circle to the question. I was never able to be a kid. So this image that was created in my head of this kid holding a kite was me that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Right. And so then I go back and I still keep digging with my therapist and saying, wow, you were just never able to be a kid.
Yeah.
But the difference today is I have kids. And now I think about it as saying, hey, now that I have kids, maybe that's my second opportunity to be a kid again.
Yeah.
Right? So then I don't take myself so serious. I'm in the moments with them. We're eating the same snacks most of the time.
Yeah.
We're laughing at the same jokes. I mean, we're watching, yesterday we finished off the movie Pursuit of Happiness.
Okay. Yep.
And we're just like, we're looking at this whole thing, and I laugh when they laugh.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the movie, you know, the scene with Will Smith comes out, he has tears in his eyes, he finally did his thing. And for those listening and you haven't seen the movie and I ruined it, sorry. But like, that
Listen, by
moment,
now, if you've not seen Pursuit of Happiness, that's on you. Okay.
that's for reals. I teared up in that moment.
Yeah.
But then my son, the first thing he says is, so he's not broke no more? And I'm like, I started
man.
busting up because I was like, man, that's a child's mind.
Yes.
I'm in here feeling like, well, like we were struggling, we were hustling, we made it, we feel good about this.
Yeah.
And my kid's like, oh, he ain't broke
You're
no
not
more.
broke no more.
I was like, all right, cool.
Wow.
But that was the struggle of like me being a pastor's kid in the moment of like everything going on in the world and being the son of a pastor is that like I wasn't given the opportunity to make mistakes.
Yeah.
There was elders from the church that would call me out and say, you shouldn't be doing this.
Not you.
Not you. Like,
All the other kids, but not you.
You shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
So I am going to tell your father. And the moment that came to existence where everything I did was, I'm going to tell your father,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
that was scary.
Yeah, I bet.
That was scary. And it's not like today we had church on just Sunday.
Oh.
You know, we had Bible study on Tuesday, prayer meetings on Wednesday, youth service on Thursday, special event on Friday, which it wasn't so special when you do it every week. But, you know, on
Some
Friday
sort of
we had
special
everything.
service. Yeah.
Yep, and then we'll go support another church on Saturday, and then we'll do Sunday, and then we'll do it all over again. Monday was our only day, which it was filled up with a bunch of counseling sessions with my dad, so I didn't really have my dad on Mondays.
Monday, yeah.
So it was just this
Now, were you guys
constant door.
part of a denomination at all?
Yeah,
or?
Church of God denomination.
Church of God.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
you. Bro.
So, yeah.
I'm sure those of you who are watching can definitely identify with that last part. Just always like church was life, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about this. You all make a shift as a family.
Yeah.
You leave what feels like home in Central America. Then you come to California, Inglewood. Then your father's pastoring there. How long does he pastor there before he makes another shift?
Yeah, he was there for about, I want to say about 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years. So now you are 7, 8 years old.
Yep.
And you all are making another move.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did that move look like?
I mean, to be honest with you, we didn't have a say. You know, like we didn't have a choice. Like today, if I were to move, I would tell my kids, like, hey, what would it feel like to like move here? No.
Yeah.
We just picked them and go. I just knew that I had to rely on my parents for every single thing, and so we just picked up and go. There was no question about who's my friends.
Yeah.
Would I see them again? You know, all that stuff. Like, no.
You're just gone.
It's just gone.
Did it
I
happen
still think about these people.
Did it happen abruptly? Like, how did that whole thing
It
happen?
kind of feels abruptly because I never got this, like, to do a proper send-off. I never got to say bye to my friends. It was like school season ended, and then summer happened, and then I was in a different place. And so I never had, like, hey, man, like, tell your parents to call my parents so we can hang out in the summer. None of that existed because it like, for my parents, they never transacted with anyone at the school outside of the teachers and principals.
Right.
And then,
that's not their world. Their world is church.
Exactly. So then my friends' parents never hung out with my parents. So this whole thing of like, hey, you have to say bye to them was a foreign concept. And so it was pretty abrupt in that sense. I still think about the faces that I remember. That I'm just like, man, I wonder how they're doing. Like, what's up with them? What are they up to? And unfortunately, I haven't run into any of them. You know, so that just keeps circling in my head. And then you just transition over, and then you start this church thing, and it's like, these are your friends, these are people you're hanging out with, and so on and so forth. And the good thing about the Hispanic community is you could relate and get into it real easily.
Okay.
Like, it's just like a common struggle, like ability to just transition. You know, like, you speak Spanish, I speak Spanish. You like good food, you like good food. You're a kind person, you're a kind person. Like, we just have this, like, ability to just transition pretty simply. And so it made at least jump, like, getting into pretty straightforward. And, like, we knew the food was the same. You know, the people will talk Spanish to them and so on and so forth. And then it became very easy to become family with those people.
I want to ask you about this juxtaposition between your parents' involvement in the church world compared to your world at the time, that is. They didn't interact with anybody from school, say principals and teachers, so there was really no changeover in your community or transition, really, that could take place. Was that the case with people that you knew from church? Like, did the people at church know that you were leaving, or was that abrupt too? Like, did you guys like just split off and then just say, yo, your dad feels called to go someplace else? Like, did that happen, or no? Did that even happen?
That's actually a really good point. Those people I still know today.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that I still talk to, see with, and so on and so forth. Those people I can still see today. And a lot of them are still within the area. A lot of them have transitioned to other parts of the country. But for the most part, one of my best friends, I was in his wedding when he got married a few years ago. He was in my wedding. I met him since those same moments. But part of it had to do with, you know, going to all the camps together. They weren't necessarily in my church, but they were in my church sphere, right? So when I said on Saturdays we used to go support another church, it would be one of their churches that we would go, and we would get excited for those things because those are our friends that we actually built relationships with. And so today I still have a longing to hang out with those folks when I get the chance to. And they play amazing music, and I still get to kind of see them do their thing. But yeah, that community in itself still kind of remained for the most part, and a lot had to do with being a part of a denomination. When you're a part of the denomination, you do all the same events. You get to, and there's some crazy stories on, like, you know, moments that I like came to an event and maybe even like took someone's keys and went on a joyride and so on and so forth.
Yo, what?
I want to incriminate myself too much.
Not the pastor's kid.
But yeah,
stealing
exactly.
somebody's car.
That's exactly. My buddies bring that up, and they're like, "Man, the pastor's kid's taking one of their members' cars and going on a joyride." I was like, "Man, shut up! You wanted the Starbucks too. Like, what are you talking about here? Don't rat me out when you wanted this too." But it was just like we created these kind of moments. I was a part of like all the talent shows and events when we went out and stuff. We covered music together. It was that was the community that I called family. So when I didn't have it from a school perspective and academics and the sports aspect of the world, I was able to kind of achieve it from the other side.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. So we've come to a part of our show that I want to call one word. All right. So everybody watching. This is the part that we call one word, and we give you an opportunity to sum up your experience into one word. So, Harold, if you had to capture your PK experience in one word, what would it be?
You should give a warning before this, warm me up for this one.
No warnings. Let's go.
I'll go with roller coaster.
Roller coaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's, just, a little bit of what I've said before, just being a Hispanic person, you kind of going up and down. You have the documentation, ICE, immigration status aspect of things. You have people that are foreign to this land in itself, so you're just trying to find your way. My parents' church would rarely go anywhere between 75 people to 150 people, right, in that span. And so when you wanted to get new shoes and all that stuff, like there were certain things that they had to do. They had to work certain jobs, second jobs, and so on and so forth, just to be able to provide in those moments that we didn't have nothing completely until the day of Christmas. And so from a financial perspective, an emotional perspective, the people that we would pastor in that perspective, there was never a day that was just like straightforward and linear. If I look at my dad and his sermon series, oftentimes on Monday he had an idea of what he wanted to do, and by Sunday morning he was changing it. There was never something that was very consistent that said, hey, you know what, like this is something that's predictable. We can forecast this. We didn't. Like the board was a revolving door of who was here this week. And so there was a lot of these moments where we just would go up on a nice climb. My parents worked a second job. My dad was the biggest hustler in a very good way. Like he cared for his church, he cared for his people in so many different ways, but he also knew that he had to care for us as well too. And so my dad would be selling paintings. I don't know if you knew this, but in the Hispanic community, no one buys paint unless it's from Ross or TJ Maxx, right? But my dad sold paintings in the Hispanic community, for $70, $80, $100. And you have to sell so many of these to be able to provide what we had today. Right?
Your dad was an artist.
No, he wasn't. He would just resell.
He would resell paints.
Resell, like paintings.
Paintings.
Yes, paintings. And they weren't like in a canvas.
Okay.
They were like rolled up in the thing. He would have to unroll it. He's like, yeah, this looks nice, right? This looks great.
So he would go find the painting.
Find the painting, resell it,
okay,
and make the difference, right?
Man.
He did the same thing.
My man was eBay.
Oh, straight up. He was eBay before he was eBay. Yeah,
that's what's up.
Definitely. And he was doing that with like covers from your bed and stuff like that. He was going out there just making it work because he knew that I wanted shoes. He knew that we wanted to play sports and so on and so forth. And so there was never a moment that it was just very consistent in what's like we knew where the money was coming from and so on and so forth. And then at the same time, we also didn't know if my dad was going to be there in the morning when he woke up, because oftentimes he was the chaplain at a hospital too. So he'll be at the hospital praying and being there for someone and so on and so forth. Well, at the same time, I'm getting ready for school and we have to walk to school today. I didn't know that. Last night we said we were all going to drive to school. Right. Now we're walking to school and so on. We didn't know where our food was coming from half the time. So it's from a personal perspective and church perspective and who we had in our congregation, it was just never straightforward. And so that's the reason for the word.
How's that lack of consistency and security shown up, even today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for my wife. She's amazing because she keeps me organized and straightforward. I can be at peace in chaos because of that roller coaster.
Yeah.
She cannot. And so it's allowed me to learn aspects of peace and kindness and patience that I just never thought I needed.
That's good.
And it allowed me to also understand this is what an organized system and situation looks like, right? Because I was, when I was growing up, I was okay with $15 to $17 in my bank account, and I was like, yeah, we talk about here, right. We'll be fine. Yeah, my wife's like, no, hold on, like we gotta save money, we gotta spend this, and so I'm grateful that I have my wife that can align me in that aspect that typically I would have been spiraling out. We just would have made things work somehow, one way or another. Which there's a beauty in that.
Sure.
But there's also the reality of like being prepared.
Yeah.
And
Let me ask you this about your wife.
Yeah.
She grew up in church?
No.
She did not grow up in church.
No.
So the pastor's kid marries a woman who did not grow up in church.
Yeah.
How did you all meet?
Oh man. We actually met. So when I said my parents started another church from the ground up, they actually ended up starting a church in Arizona.
Okay, and this is another Church of God church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a Church of God church. They were starting from the ground up. We ended up moving to Arizona.
Okay.
At the time, my wife was in the property management game.
Okay.
And so I say that like it's cool, property management game. She was in the property management industry.
Yeah.
And so my parents, I should have probably told you this earlier, but my parents, in a very good way, they want everyone to know about Jesus. Every single person.
Okay.
And so if they get pulled over,
they're telling the police officer about Jesus.
Oh, more than that. The license and registration, here's my chaplain ID. He now knows I'm a chaplain. Obviously, he's maybe trying to find a way to get out of this. But everyone knows, right? And so back in the day when you used to walk into a property management office to take a tour of the unit, whatever, they say, can you show me your ID? And they leave it in the office to make sure that, like, if they get kidnapped, they know who kidnapped them, type deal. And so my dad, of course, had an opportunity to leave his chaplain, card back down. And so he did that, and that obviously led to a conversation of faith. So she didn't grow up in the faith, but she came into her faith when she was about 15, 16. Okay. And so she had her background was kind of the Hindu kind of religion and so on and so forth. And she had one aunt that was white. And so, she brought him to church. She did Teen Challenge. My wife has an incredible voice. And so like she would do all the talent shows. I think she won one or two, but she hasn't admitted it. I probably didn't tell her to go sing at church, but but she won some awards and did her thing and did the whole Teen Challenge thing. But she kind of fell out of the ways. She was in production. She, had actually pursued her happiness. She actually was a part of that junkie that interviewed Will Smith, Jaden Smith, so on and so forth, for their release. Okay. And so I didn't even think about that. That's full circle. But she was in the production space, so she worked for like Warner Brothers, so on and so forth. And so so she kind of fell into like a different world where she was out and about socializing, kind of creating her narrative and so on, and got to a point of rock bottom. And so she happened to move to Arizona around the same time. Her story is crazy, but like she met someone that said like, hey, I know you don't got a job right now, but I have an opening to be in property management. And so got him into property management. My parents were coming at the same time. She's like, yeah, I just started going to church. She's just trying to close the deal. So, my dad on one side is saying, do you know Jesus? And at the same time saying, I got 3 boys, pick one. Yeah. But that's truthfully speaking, like they were thinking about, my middle brother was already married at the time. My oldest brother, he was already like into like just about nothing, and then myself, and so they were really thinking, hey, maybe she could marry like my oldest, like you're amazing, so on and so forth. So that's how my parents actually met my wife now.
Gotcha. Okay.
And more so, she then led me to church where she was going to church because they were just building up the church. So they had no youth group, no nothing. So they wanted me to build some foundation of community. And so she kind of led me into that world of community altogether.
Wait, hold up.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
You meet this woman.
Yeah.
Through your parents.
Shout out my parents.
Shout out to your parents. But your parents are pastoring a church, and they are like, yo, we got 3 boys, pick one. You meet her.
Yeah.
And then she introduces you to another church where you start serving.
Yep.
How did that go? Were your parents cool with this? Like, what's happening?
You know, they were in a sense.
Okay.
Because for them, they thought of it almost like an internship. So
they're like, yo, go do what you gotta do and then come on back.
Exactly.
Okay.
Do some recon, you know, like figure out how do you do it, how do you market, how do you talk? Because at the time that church was like, 5,000 to 10,000 people or something like that. Like it was a pretty big church. And so it was a thing that I was like, I got to go in there, just figure out, what they're doing, how they're doing it, so on and so forth. I became family with most of the people that were there. It got to the point that was actually my first pastoring gig. I was pastoring there with a young adults
Harold
group.
became a pastor. PK became a pastor.
Yeah. And
so you were doing young adults.
I was doing young adults, leading their community groups in there. And we became really close. I wanted to go study theology. So me and the youth pastor that was there as well, too, we went and took a trip to California to check out this Bible college that led us into launching a church in Northern California.
You launched a church.
Yeah. Well, I was a part of the team that launched it. Yeah. But we packed up and we went. We started this church. But that's what that kind of leap came from. Like my parents meeting her, me going to this church. They felt like, hey, he could learn something here, plus build a community, bring something back to what we're doing here. It really translated to a whole thing. Did you want to be a pastor? At one point I did.
Okay.
At one point I did.
What was that? Tell me about that journey of desire for it and then maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I think my initial desire, I should say, to want to be a pastor was more because like I felt like I had to take on the torch. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I also knew that there was other ways to serve. Like there was this aspect that like the way you're doing God's will, in a meaningful way was to be behind a microphone, speaking a sermon and so on and so forth. And I didn't know that there was, my youth pastor at the time, same guy that we launched a church with, who was just like, be where you are. Yeah. And there was so much freedom in just that saying in itself. Because it allowed me to then say like, well, if I'm where I'm at, 'cause I'm a pretty good business person, if I could be a really good business person that follows Jesus, then maybe that can get some people that are in business to follow Jesus, maybe to a greater capacity than maybe I would at a church setting. And so that kind of opened my mind to say, maybe I don't need to go into ministry to be able to point people to Jesus. And that's what opened my eyes up and allowed me to then feel comfortable saying, you know what, in a sense, I am a pastor, but in another sense, I'm just doing what God called me to do and disciple people, just like a pastor would. I just don't have, the confines that exist in a church setting. Sure. And so that was kind of like the whole, I mean, I took about 10 years to get there, but that was like the whole thing. I felt like I was letting people down, because there was a service where it's just like, you're in service in the middle of it and they're praying that back in the day they used to have like anniversaries for pastors, and I think it was in October or so.
They still have them.
Do they?
Go to some churches, they still got them. They still got them.
Anniversary services. It was a whole thing, and like they would pray for us, and at the end they would tell us to like talk about it, and I was like, I think I even said it. I was just like, because of the example they set and who they were to me, I want to be a pastor. And once those words came out of my mouth, I was just like, oh man, I got a target on me, and then there was this like sense of like, all right, I got to do this, follow this, do this, and be about this. And so right when those words of like, you can be where you are
Mm-hmm.
came to mind, it was a ton of freedom that came from it, because I was in this like level of anxiety for years,
Yeah.
thinking that I would have to be a pastor because I said it out loud.
Yes, I said it out loud. Now they know.
And now they know, people are keeping me accountable.
And I'm
And
sure they were probably already saying it before you said
oh,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was preaching at youth camps and youth
Mm-hmm.
groups and so on and so forth. I was organizing events. I was playing at different churches.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, I was praying for people. I was doing the job essentially.
Yep.
Um, and people now knew that was the next progression.
Yeah.
And I just, in my soul, I was just like, man, I'm having a real struggle with this, but I got to keep my word.
Yeah.
I'm an
Yeah.
example. You know, all these things from childhood now started to creep up and started to mount up on me and saying, man, all right, maybe I got to be, you know, a pastor. I got to force my way into it. And so, yeah, that was a wild journey.
Did you feel at the time when you thought you would pursue pastoring, did you feel that it would be to take over your father's church?
No, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that. It was weird because right when my parents went to Arizona, I think they were feeling a little like this is. I don't know that the system is like working as opposed to like. I don't think they were being as intentional with people as we're supposed to. Both of them had their masters. They both now have their doctorates. And it just felt like, man, they can maybe be a little bit more intentional with their time. And so they started kind of investing in marriages. And now they do marriage conferences and things like that.
Okay.
But there was at the moment that they're just like, man, maybe being in a denomination, it serves its purpose, but maybe we outgrew the purpose of where it is. And I was in the middle of those conversations that we're having privately in their home,
Yeah.
where I'm just like, man, I agree with that. Yeah, like you don't have to do this. And so I already started to kind of see this desire to be running a church kind of fizzle.
Yeah.
So there was nothing for me to kind of get a baton from.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good.
It was yeah, it was actually it was a good thing too. It was in the sense like relieving as well too, you know, because you always want to go back and like support your parents, you know, where they can.
Yep.
So now that that kind of didn't exist, it was kind of nice.
Yeah. So, you talked about early on in this episode, you talked about doing a lot of deep heart work, healing work, and how that's impacted your own health and just your knowledge of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, what would you say is your purpose? How would you articulate your purpose?
Yeah, I'm here very clearly to connect people.
I love that.
I'm not going to be everyone's everything.
Yeah.
But I could at least point you to someone that can be there with you.
Yeah.
And that's my job. It's the hardest job I could possibly do, though. I'll be very honest with you. It brings me a lot of anxiety. Because I want to be friends with everyone.
Okay. Yeah.
But I also know that I'm not meant to be that. I'm just like, I'm very relational, very intentional. And I can have conversations that takes a lot of people a lot of time to get the nerves, the strength to do.
Yeah.
But once I make that connection, I'm like, man, I kind of want to be like, I want to sit back.
Yeah.
I want to sit back and I want to see this happen.
Yeah.
But then they run off together, right? And they do their relationships, they go on trips together and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I then, you know, on social, I get to see their lives and I get to see like, oh, they're still friends, they still hang out. Like, that's super awesome. They're on golf trips and whatnot, you know, and then I get a sense of like FOMO.
It's like,
And I'm
man,
like,
I'm missing out on that.
Yeah, like, what did I do? You know,
Yeah.
but I understand then I have to go back to my mission of then being able to say, like, your job wasn't to be a part of what that is now. Your part was to connect them so that they have life.
How did you get to that? How did you come to that clarity and knowledge of this is why I'm here? Like I thought maybe in one season it was something else.
Yeah.
I get now I am here to connect people. How did you get there?
I think it was just the weird places that I was comfortable in. I had many conversations with many friends, colleagues, people I know. They're just like, yeah, should I say something? Like, should I go out and like do it? Like, what would you do in this situation? Like, I had enough of those situations where I was like, wait, let me just come with you.
Yeah.
And so enough of those like cornering spots that I said like, oh, maybe I'm just to come with someone just to make them comfortable, just to give them enough of a step forward that says, all right, now let's take that.
Yeah.
Now the second part of it of being able to let go was the hardest part. But the part of like being in the corner and just saying like, let's just jump together to figure this out.
That's what
like,
you're made for. That's it.
But that's the chaos from the beginning that I was talking about. Like that I'm happy to have my wife for. I'll jump into anything.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll figure it out later on. Like good or bad, but I'll jump into it. And that's probably like where there's a gift there, a little bit of a superpower of mine of just me to say, hey, I'm gonna go in with you. We're gonna figure it out together.
Yeah.
At least you know you're not doing it alone.
Right.
But I may not be there forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think
it sounds to me like that didn't happen at church.
Oh,
you
it
mentioned
definitely didn't happen at
colleagues.
church.
You mentioned okay.
It was just everywhere.
Gotcha.
Those opportunities, I mean, like, I think unless you walk, like, with your eyes closed, like, those opportunities are everywhere. Your conversations in the water cooler, your conversation in the car, your conversation at Starbucks with the barista, so on and so forth, you always start hearing the same theme of, like, if I could do this, I wish I could go do that. And you're like, man, I'll go do it with you. That's all they need.
Yeah.
You know, but it was in the sense of relationships and friendships.
Yeah.
So once those friendships, like, man, I wish I could talk to them. It's not because you're attracted to them, no, because they're doing cool things in a similar space that you also want to be into. The same thing happens professionally today. Like my LinkedIn, I have over 5,000 people. Every single person that I've contacted to or had a conversation with on LinkedIn, I always tell them, if I could connect you with anyone in my network, I am going to do it, and I'm going to do it happily, and we're going to be able to do a great introduction to that. I'm not going to stay there forever, but I'll make that introduction, and that just happens across different spectrums.
It's what you were made for, man, and you do a great job at that. So, I think it's interesting and important to know, especially for all of you guys who are watching out there, that you weren't trying to find that, or I don't know if you were trying to find it, but it seems to me like you were open to seeing that in spaces outside of church.
Absolutely.
And you were able to apply it in more places than church. So that's amazing, bro. All right. Now we are to our second segment called The Truth Is.
Ooh.
The Truth Is. Okay, so now here's how this works. Okay. Harold, you have an opportunity to reveal a truth. Okay. So finish this statement. Here's how The Truth Is works. People thought I blank. The truth is blank. People thought I blank. Just and think about your experience specifically as a pastor's kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the I guess to answer that, the truth is, people thought the truth is, yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit, but like people thought I would be full-time ministry right now. But the truth is, I was better suited to like bring Jesus to the business community.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be like my answer. It took a long time to get there.
Yeah.
I still belong a part of a church community. I still participate in many people's lives from a church perspective, but like I flourish in the business community.
Yeah.
And I gravitate to a lot of business leaders on a constant basis. And so I just led to a world where that's just my truth. That's where I have to be comfortable with. I never close the door on like in the future being able to do it. Like I always told my wife, I said, look, if we get to a point where we're self-sustaining and we don't not have to work a W-2 job, I probably want to go back to work at a church. I wouldn't do it with a salary though.
Yeah,
I want to do it out of like my heart.
Yeah.
And I always had a difficult part with that, and that's just kind of like a different point. But like my difficulty with it was that like, man, there's a lot of awesome things I want to do with my heart in this church community, but I feel like it's going to be tied to a salary. Where then my achievement mind, my competitive mind, is going to have a hard time shutting off.
Yeah.
So I have to know that I'm doing it out of the goodness of my heart,
Yeah.
as opposed to like a salary-driven
Yeah.
situation. So
Or an accomplishment based sort
yeah,
of,
like
yes.
I'm trying to get to be the senior pastor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
No,
trying
I
to
get that.
start my own church
Yeah.
type deal. Like,
Yeah, bro.
no, like I want to do good. Like, but that goes back to the connecting part as well too. Like, I
Yes.
want to connect people in church. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I was a community pastor.
Mm.
I was really good at connecting people.
Mm.
My sermons, on the other hand, that wasn't me. That's not bad. Yes,
You
my
can't
mom.
preach?
No,
Oh
I can't
man.
preach. And I can't sing.
Oh
I can
man.
dance a little bit, but I can't do any of those things. And if you tell my mama she's a good mama today, she'll say he can preach and he can sing. That's when I know that's a good mom because
Oh
I
wow.
can't do either of those two things.
That's awesome, bro. That is awesome. Okay, I got a couple more questions for you, and then I'm gonna get you out of here. All
Just
right.
run it.
So, what do you want to say to church members that you couldn't say growing up?
Oh, leave me alone. Leave me alone. That's not my problem. That's your child's problem. That comes from what stems from my home, right? Their reflection of how they behave, how they speak, how they react
Yeah.
is what they're learning from home, not from what they saw from the pastor's kid.
Yeah.
Like, too many times I got the blame for how they're responding to a situation, whether it's at home or at church, when it's really the product of what the environment they're in,
Yeah.
which is their home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so stop trying to blame me for your child being wild.
Yeah,
Okay? Like that's
your child.
Exactly. Leave me
Wow.
out of this.
That's
you
good,
know,
bro.
because at home, I had old school parents. Like it's like,
Yeah.
all right, so such and such said this, you did this.
Yeah.
Then I'm the one that has to face the consequences
Yeah, yeah.
for something I had nothing to do. I was just trying to be a kid.
Yep. That's
So yeah, leave me out of this.
No, that's good. Okay. Next question. What do you want to say to your parents that you didn't know to say growing up?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Yeah. Those two things, I think, didn't come out of my mouth enough. And to understand now and see the sacrifice of the father to my kids you have to put into it, while still being a father to many others, it's crazy.
Yeah.
My dad would wake up at 3, 4 a.m. every single day. And I would wake up constantly just with his hand on my shoulder praying for me. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
Now that I have my own kids, like, if I don't have to use the restroom in the middle of the night, I ain't laying no hands.
Wow.
So, thank you. Because I'm the youngest of 3 boys, but we were boys, and we did not give them an easy task. Yeah, I love you. Thank you. You're the best.
That's so good, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how many PKs are going to be watching this episode, but there are some out there. And maybe just from the fruit of your own experience, what would you want to say to anybody who's lived a similar experience? Maybe there's a PK watching who also grew up as an immigrant or the child of immigrants who grew up in an inconsistent roller coaster type of experience, or maybe there's someone who's struggling with the purpose aspect, like am I called to ministry like my parents, or am I called to something else? Anything that's in your heart. What would you want to say to a PK that's out there listening to Harold's story?
Yeah, it's going to be okay. The heavy conversation you have to have with your parents, eventually is going to be okay. The disagreements that you're going to have because you look at theology maybe is slightly different, like, it's going to be okay. No matter what the scenario is that maybe is preventing you from being able to step out in your truth or in your faith and whatever it is, it's going to be okay. Time heals in so many different ways. I can speak from personal experience, but I can just say that, like, I have been in many tunnels where I just thought, yeah, that's probably the last time I'm going to see my parents. I won't talk to them, then won't see them, so on and so forth. Same thing with family.
Yeah.
But over time, we worked it out. Through God's grace, everything's okay.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing that I would say. I think most of us PKs, we harbor a lot. We keep things a lot inside. And we don't know that we're okay to talk about it as well too. And so if you find a good therapist, like walk with them.
Yeah.
Go through them. I now carry around the 3 C's. The 3 C's are catch it, check it, change it.
Catch it.
Check it.
See, this is why I have my notebook in case anybody else wondering. Every now and then there's something I need to write down. Let's say that again.
Catch it.
Yeah.
Check it. Change it. Catch the feeling of what you're in. Check it. Check if it's true. Check if it's valid. Check to see where it's coming from. Then once you have an outcome from that, change it to what's true. Mm-hmm. That's actually something my therapist gave me as a quick back in the pocket scenario whenever I'm stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm feeling some way, take a moment to do those 3 things. Now my kids do it too.
Catch it, check it,
change it. There it is.
That's awesome, and that's like a quick little.
Yeah, it gets you. You're like, all right, I can move on now.
Yeah.
Just keeping it going. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Harold, I appreciate it. I know you gotta roll because there's some more business lives that you need to change. So we're gonna let you get on out of here. But listen to all my PKs out there, and if you're not a PK, hey, I'm glad you've enjoyed this episode. Every PK who's out there listening, here's what I want you to know as we sign off and we send Harold on his way. You're not alone, and you never were. Thanks for watching PKs Anonymous. We'll see you on the next episode.
Let's go.